The mansion was a fortress of silence, its grandeur overshadowed by the coldness that seeped through its walls. One stood in the kitchen, her hands trembling, as she poured tea into a delicate porcelain cup. It had been weeks since the wedding, and every day felt like a battle. Taehyung was a ghost in his own home, present but distant, his presence more chilling than comforting. She carried the tea to his study, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. She knocked softly on the door, her heart pounding. In her chest, Taehyung, I bought you some tea. There was no response. She pushed the door open cautiously, finding him seated at his desk. His eyes fixed on a stack of papers. He did not look up, did not acknowledge her presence. Van placed the cup on the table, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought that you might need a break. Think I flicked toward her, cold and unfeeling. I didn't ask for this. Van flinched, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. I just wanted to help. You can help by staying out of my way, he said sharply, his tone cutting through her like a knife. He turned to his paper, dismissing her without another word. One bite her lip, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill. She turned and left the room, her heart heavy with rejection. This was her life now, a marriage without love, a home without warmth. But she refused to let it break her. She had always been a fighter, and she would not stop now. That night, while lay in bed staring at the ceiling, sleep eluded her, her mind drifting to the past. She had always felt loved by her parents, but there was a part of her that wondered about her origins. Her parents had never hidden the fact that she was adopted, but they had always been vague about the details. Tonight, as she lay in the cold, unfamiliar mansion, her thoughts wandered back to the story they had told her. It was a rainy evening and Vine, now a teenager, sat curled up on the couch with her mother. The sound of the rain tapping against the windows filled the room, creating a cozy atmosphere. Vine had always loved these moments with her mother, but tonight she had a question that had been weighing on her mind. Mom, she began hesitantly, can you tell me again how you and Dad found me? Her mother smiled softly, her eyes filled with warmth. Of course, my love, it's a story I will never tire of telling. She took Vine's hand in hers and began. Your father and I had been married for many years, but we could not have children for our own. It was a difficult time for us. We felt like something was missing in our lives, but we did not know what to do. Vine listened intently, her heart swelling with love for the woman who had raised her. One evening, her mother continued. We were driving home after visiting a friend. It was late and the roads were empty as we entered a corner. As we turned a corner, we saw something on the side of the road. At first, we thought it was a bundle of clothes, but as we got closer, we realized it was a child, a little girl, no older than a year, wrapped in a thin blanket. Wine's eyes fitted. That was me. Her mother nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. Yes, my darling, you were lying there, so small and fragile. We could not believe it. It was as if God had sent us a miracle. We picked you up, and you looked at us with those big, innocent eyes. And we knew right then that you were meant to be ours. Vine felt a lump in her throat, but why was it there who left me? Her mother sighed, her expression turning somber. We don't know, Vine. We tried to find your real parents, but there were no clues. No one came forward to claim you. We like to think that it was fate, that you were meant to be our daughter. Vine hugged her mother tightly, tears streaming down her face. You are my real parents. I don't need anyone else. Her mother held her close, whispering, we love you more than anything, Van. You are our miracle. Van wiped away a tear as the memory faded. She had always cherished the story, but now, in this cold, loveless marriage, she could not help but wonder if her real family was out there somewhere. Did she have siblings, parents who had loved her but lost her? The questions lingered in her mind, but she pushed them aside. Her adoptive parents were her family, and she would not let anything change that. The next morning, Van was in the garden tending to the flowers. It was the only place in the mansion where she left at peace. The sound of footsteps made her turn, and she saw a man approaching her. He was tall, with sharp features and a confident stride. His dark eyes scanned her with a mix of curiosity and indifference. "You must be Vine," he said, his voice smooth but distant. "I'm Jungkook, Taehyung's best friend." Vine wiped her hands on her apron and offered a small smile. "It's nice to meet you." Jungkook noted, his expression irritable. "They mentioned you. I did not expect you to be here." His words were polite, but there was an edge to them that made Vine uncomfortable. "I live here now," she said, her voice steady despite the unease in her chest. Jungkook's lip curled into a faint smirk. Before Van could respond, Ting appeared, his presence immediately shifting the atmosphere. "Jungkook," he said, his tone clipped. "What are you doing here?" "Just checking in," Jungkook replied, his eyes never leaving Van. "I wanted to meet the new Mrs. Kim." Ting jaw tightened, his gaze flickering between Jungkook and Van. "She's busy, let's go." Jungkook shrugged, following Taehyung without another word. Van watched them walk away, as a strange feeling settling in her chest. There was something about Jungkook that did not sit right with her, something she could not quite put her finger on. Later that evening, Taehyung sat in his study, a glass of whiskey in his hand. The events of the day played in his mind. Van's quiet resilience, Jungkook's skeptic comments, and the growing tension in the house. He had married Van for revenge, but he had not expected her to be so human. She was kind, always trying to reach out to him despite his coldness. She did not deserve the life he had forced her into, but he could not afford to care. Revenge was all that mattered, or so he told himself. But as the day passed, he found himself noticing little things about her, the way her eyes lit up when she smiled, the way she hummed softly while working in the garden, the way she never gave up no matter how harshly he treated her. It unsettled him, stirring emotions he had long buried. "Why do you keep pushing her away?" Jungkook's voice broke through his thoughts. Taehyung looked up, his expression guarded. "What are you talking about?" "Why?" Jungkook said, leaning against the doorframe. "She's your wife, but you treat her like a stranger. Why?" Taehyung's grip tightened on the glass. "You know why." "Do I?" Jungkook's tone was light, but there was a silence in his eyes. "Or are you just afraid of letting someone in?" Taehyung did not respond, his silence speaking volumes. Jungkook smiled, pushing off the doorframe. "Be careful, Taehyung. The line between revenge and regret is thinner than you think." After some days, it was late evening and the mansion was cloaked in a serene silence. One sat by the large bay window in the living room. A book in her hands, a soft glow of the moonlight filtered through the glass, casting a gentle light on her face. She had been trying to distract herself from the loneliness that had become a constant companion in her new life. Ting walked into the room, his footstep quiet but deliberate. He pushed when he saw her, his sharp eyes taking in the scene. She looked peaceful, her features softened by the moonlight, and for a moment he forgot why he had married her, forget the revenge, the anger, the pain. All he saw was her. Van looked up, startled by his presence. "Taehyung," she said softly, closing her book. "I did not hear you come in." He did not respond immediately, his gaze lingering on her. There was something about the way she looked at him, gentle, patient, and unwaveringly kind. That said something deep within him. He walked closer, his movements slow, almost hesitant. "What are you reading?" he asked, his voice softer than usual. Vine held up the book, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's a poetry collection. I found it in the library. It's beautiful." Tim glanced at the book, then back at her. "You like poetry?" She nodded, her eyes lighting up. Yes, it's like music for the soul. Would you like me to read something? He hesitated. His usual cold demeanor faltering. For a reason he could not explain, he found himself nodding. Sure. Vi smiled within, and she opened the book to a marked page. She began to read, her voice soft and melodic, filling the room with a warmth it had been missing. Things stood there transfixed as his voice washed over him. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of calm, a fleeting moment of peace. When she finished, she looked up at him. Her eyes searching his. Did you like it? Ding did not answer immediately. Instead, he reached out, his finger brushing a strand of hair away from her face. The gesture was so unexpected, so tender that one split caught in her throat. For a moment, things smile seemed to crumble. His hand lingered near her face, his eyes softening. As he looked at her, it was as if he wanted to say something to let her in. But the weight of his past, his pain, was too heavy. Just as quickly as the moment had come, it passed. Taehyung pulled his hand back, his expression hardening once more. Don't waste your time trying to understand me, he said coldly, his voice cutting through the warmth like a blade. You will end up disappointed. Once I saying the brief connection shattered, she looked down, her hands clutching the book tightly. I don't believe that, she whispered, but Ting was already walking away. His retreating figure a stark reminder of the emotion distance between them. As he disappeared down the hallway, let out a shaky breath, her eyes brimming with tears. She had seen a glimpse of the man beneath the cold exterior, and it only made her more determined to reach him. But for now, she was left alone in the moonlight, holding on to the fragile hope that one day he might let her in. To be continued.